So we are very fortunate today. It's always fortunate to hear from a sadhu. But we are more fortunate today because we have two sadhus here, very advanced sadhus. So his is Radhagopinath Prabhuji and Damodar Prabhuji. So a quick introduction of them. So Radhagopinath Prabhu is a board of temple president at ISKCON Chowpatty for over 30 years. He has been leading congregation preaching and development from a very beginning of his joining Krishna consciousness. And he has also been a pioneer of the introductory 6-session Gita course called Science of Self-Relation. Some of the voice attendees here, you would have attended some of the first 10 modules of the voice course. So that comes from Radhagopinath Prabhuji. And Damodar Prabhuji here, he has been a faculty of Bhaktivedanta Vidyapit for teaching Srimad Bhagavatam Chaitanya Chaitamrit at Govardhan Eco Village for over a decade. He is also a faculty at Mayapur Institute for teaching Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Teachers Training Course, and Vaishnav Sadachar courses. He has been instrumental in several devotee care initiatives as ISKCON Chowpatty and is a leading member of the National Devotee Care Team for India and also Global Devotee Care Director. He holds BTech and MTech degree in Mechanical Engineering from the India's prestigious university, IIT Bombay. Since Prabhuji is expert in mechanical engineering, he has used his mechanical engineering skills in creating a mega kitchen on wheels, that too. And that kitchen feeds 6,000 people during yatras. And if you search on YouTube, you can find the documentary on this as well. So we're very fortunate. Please let us chant loudly, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. We'll do a brief invocation prayer. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So our heartfelt gratitude to His Grace Kala Prabhu, who has invited us here to Auckland, and to His Grace Divya Govind Prabhu, Parjanya Prabhu and their team who have been conducting this voice program for more than 2 years now. Am I right? For 1.5 years. For quite a long time this program has been going on. So we are grateful for this opportunity to be able to speak and share something. So the topic for today's discussion, as already announced, is finding inner peace within chaos. I'll speak a story that I used to hear from my grandpa, and I have again and again seen and experienced the wisdom of that story in my own life. So I'll share something which used to be theoretical in my childhood, but then it came to life. My grandpa used to have 7 or 8 stories, and daily in the evening, late in the evening, I would go to him and hear one of my favorites. He would say, okay, which one you want to hear today? So at times I would tell him, tell me the story of the king and the minister. Some of you may have heard the story, but let's see its application. So this is how my grandfather used to narrate. There was a pet minister. The king used to have a pet minister. Wherever he would go with his minister. That was like his favorite. One day the king went for hunting in the forest, Of course, hunting is illegal in many places now, but earlier, those who were kings, for them, hunting was at times allowed in a very brave way. They would go and face ferocious animals in the forest to practice their bravery, so that they could, be courageous, brave in the war field also. So there was for a different purpose it was allowed, not just a sport. The king went for hunting in the forest with the minister, and while he's going for a hunt, suddenly they both are on the horse, riding on the horse. In front of the king's horse, there comes a very poisonous, deadly cobra. Suddenly it raised its hood in front of the horse, and the horse panicked. The horse raised its front legs. Suddenly the king fell down, and cobra came and bit the king's finger. And the king was very courageous. He understood that the poison may spread. Therefore, king immediately took a wise decision to cut off with his own sword. He slashed off one of his fingers, in which the cobra has bitten. So he slashed off the finger, and immediately the minister, bandaged him. And the king was feeling very sorry. The minister said, "My dear king, um, you know, the king was thinking, it probably is not a good time that we came to the forest and so on and so forth." He said, "My dear king, do not blame anyone. Everything has some deeper purpose in life. So do not blame anyone. Everything has a deeper purpose in life." The king felt offended. He said, "Deeper purpose in life, now I have lost my finger. I can't really fight the way I am used to. I can't really shoot the arrows. I have lost my finger of the right hand. So deeper purpose," he said, "this is all rubbish you are talking." The king immediately ordered the minister to be imprisoned. There were some other soldiers. He said, take him, imprison the minister. The king went ahead. And that day was a dark moon night, and the king went inside the forest. Some of the tribals, they caught the king. They have a ritual where on Amavasya, dark moon night, they would give a human sacrifice to their goddess. So they would just go out to search, and the first person they would find, and they would catch. So the king is trying to explain, "I am the king of this province," but they don't understand his language. They have experience, everyone resists. They just caught him and brought him to be given as a sacrifice to their goddess, the tribal goddess. And there are fire torches being lit, and then the big drums are being played, and so on. So there's a lot of uh, amidst all the rituals and the pomp going on, the their head priest comes with a big chopper to slash off the king's head. And suddenly he notices, he said, "No, no, body is not complete. One finger is missing. Unfit. This person is unfit. Release this person immediately. Find another person." So they released the king, and then the king went back, and they, of course, they started looking for another person. The king straight went to his kingdom. He immediately released the minister, and he said, "Oh, what you said, there was a great wisdom. There's a deeper purpose in everything that happens. I really apologize what I did to you." He said, "No, if you had not imprisoned me, there was a deeper purpose in what you did. If you had not imprisoned me, then I would have been the next target. I would have been caught. I would have been sacrificed instead." So there is a deeper purpose in everything that takes place in life. I have personally experienced the truth of this statement several times in my own life. Whenever things would not go my way, I would have some plans. I would pray for that, but it will not go. I would accept that there is some deeper purpose. Let me not blame anyone. There is some deeper purpose in that. Let me turn to the Lord within the heart and wait for that purpose to be revealed. Pray for that purpose to be revealed. And for sure, it will be in my interest. And that has happened several times. I'll narrate one incident. I was studying in a small town in India, close to the city called Chandigarh. Some of you may have heard the name of the city, Chandigarh. It's one of the planned cities in India. So I was studying in a small town in a school, and one of my very close dear friend, he moved to the city school. I was still in a small town school. So then, I just I just felt, I no longer wanted to study in this school. I was missing my friend. I was feeling very bored without him. I told my parents, look, my friend has gone to this city school, which is one of the best schools. You please somehow arrange. I also want to study in that school. I no longer have any interest in studying in this school. So my parents tried, and it somehow did not work. It did not work. Because in India, the admission process is not always fair. You need some kind of influence also to get into good schools. My friend's father was very influential person. He's a bureaucrat, big bureaucrat. So he could get his son, but I could not get admission. So my father just apologized, I can't get you admission in that school. I said, fine, if not that school, some other school, but not this one. So get me in some other school, but I can't study here, because my friend has left and I'm feeling so, empty. I'm feeling kind of vacuum. So you get me admission somewhere in the city, maybe the adjoining school. I can meet my friend sometime. So I got admission in the nearby school, and I started studying. And one of my teacher, he somehow took keen interest. I would travel 40 minutes on one side from a town on a bus to the city and then go back. So it was a commuting of 80 minutes, around 1.5 hours daily for me. So one of the teacher, he just took keen interest. He said, I can see, you're doing good in mathematics and science. Why don't you appear for the state talent scholarship exam? I said, I had not heard about it also. He said, no, I'll guide you. He gave me some books. You study these books. And I started studying while commuting in a public bus. And I started studying, and he guided me, and I cleared the state talent scholarship exam with his guidance, with studying while commuting daily 40 minutes, kind of a religious study. Morning, evening, I would study that. And he said, you should appear for the national talent scholarship exam. I'll guide you. Oh, I said, okay, I can try. So he kept encouraging me like that. I had never heard of the Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay. I was from a very small town. So you should go for the best college in India. I said, I don't know how to do that. He said, I'm there for you. So he started guiding me, and I came to the best college. I cleared the National Talent Scholarship also. As a student, I used to receive a scholarship at the state level in Chandigarh, then at India level. Then he guided me, and I could come to the India's topmost engineering college, which is IIT Bombay. And there I met the devotees. And it changed my life totally. So I have seen, again and again, so that whichever, when I did not get admission in the school which I wanted, I just remembered my grandpa's word that there is some deeper purpose. So the story, the lesson in the story, there is some deeper purpose. Wait for God to reveal that purpose. Turn to Him and wait for His will to be revealed. Time and again, I have seen the truth in that. Whenever I would like to do something, things will not go my way, I would say, or something would happen just the opposite of what I would expect. I would just turn to God and say, there is some deeper purpose in this. and I will wait for it to be revealed. And it will be in my interest. This happened. And later I read so many stories in the scriptures which expand on the same truth. So I'd like to share a few very instructive stories. There's a story in Srimad Bhagavatam about Dhruva. He's a 5-year-old boy, Dhruva. He sees that his stepbrother is sitting on the father's lap. And he also became very eager to sit on the father's lap. But his stepmother said, no, only my son deserves to sit on the father's lap. Father's lap would represent the throne of the king also. So the stepmother of Dhruva, she was a favorite queen. And Dhruva's mother, she was neglected by the king. Therefore, because the king favored Dhruva's stepmother, therefore she boldly spoke, no, you don't deserve to sit on your father's lap. You don't deserve to sit on the throne. So Dhruva, he sees his stepbrother is sitting on the father's lap, receiving affection. He really felt hurt. And Dhruva was a Kshatriya boy. He had so much anger within his heart. He bit his lips. And he, while with his eyes red, with his heart burning, he came running to his mother. And he expressed the whole thing to his mother. And just imagine, Dhruva's heart is burning, and he tells everything to his mother, and is seeing the agony of Dhruva's heart. His mother's heart burnt even more, because if the child has fever, the mother's heart burns more than the child's body, out of love. So therefore, the Suniti, who is mother of Dhruva, her heart started burning even more than Dhruva. But then she said, my dear son, do not think bad of your stepmother. Do not think that what has happened today is due to your stepmother. There is some deeper purpose. Turn to God, and you will be able to see there is a deeper purpose in it. But first he said, do not blame. Do not blame. So this is or have any kind of complaints. Whenever there is any kind of challenge, difficulty, reverse in life, our first thoughts are, who is responsible? Who is to be blamed for this? So she says, avoid blaming, avoid complaining. See the deeper purpose. So there's a message of Dhruva's mother. A, B, C, D. For you to take home lesson. Avoid blaming others. Avoid complaining. And D is go deeper. See the deeper purpose. You'll be able to see that everything that has happened, there's a deeper purpose. Turn to God, He will show you the deeper purpose. So Dhruva started, he said, where can I find God? He had no patience. I have heard that the God lives deep in the forest. Go deep in the forest. The great sages have been going deep in the forest, meditating on Him, searching for Him. You also go deep in the forest, and you'll be able to see God and understand the deeper purpose. And Dhruva, as per the advice of his mother, he went on to search for God to find the deeper purpose. And because of his determination to do that, he could see God face to face and then realize the deeper purpose. He had made a determination that my mother did not allow me to sit on this throne. I want the throne of the whole universe. There was ambition as a kind of revenge. And Dhruva could achieve that, his ambition, by the mercy of the Lord. He could have the darshan, he could understand that And not just the throne of this world, the Lord gave him spiritual opulences, imperishable spiritual opulence. His heart became filled with gratitude, with love, and he totally forgot uh, all the animosity that he had anytime harbored for his stepmother or brother. And he became unrivaled king of the universe, the planet called Dhruvaloka. So the Shrimad Bhagavatam mentions that. So the lesson that we avoid blaming others, avoid complaining, and turning deep. I will narrate another story. There are the story of the two kings, another two kings in Shrimad Bhagavatam. There is a story of in the yeah in the fourth canto. There is Anga Maharaj. His name is King Anga. He was a very saintly, very pious king. Somehow his son was the most notorious. While he was as a child, he would, when there is a quarrel, the children may fight sometime among themselves. This child would pick up other children and throw them in some pond and drown them. He was so notorious. He would just kind of kill them. Uh, the king Anga was horrified. What kind of son I have got? And he's the son of the king. A lot of influence anyway. He tried so much to rectify his son, but could not be rectified. On the other hand, so here is a saintly king who has the most notorious son. There is another king, Hiranyakashipu, who is most notorious king. He gets the most saintly son. So he is trying to make his son notorious. You should rule, learn politics, diplomacy, enjoy life, and so on. But he is most devoted. So therefore, some people ask, that looks like, the match, the wrong matching took place. Prahlad should have born to Anga Maharaj, saintly fathers. And Vena, if Vena would have born to Hiranyakashipu, how the father and the son, that would have been like the perfect match, the following. Perfect match of the son and the father. But Hiranyakashipu got exactly opposite of what he wanted, and similarly, Maharaj Anga got exactly opposite son of what he wanted. So looks like the providence doesn't know how to match. How to match the desires of the people and so on. But again, we see, because Anga Maharaj was a saintly king, he tried his best to rectify his son, but later he understood that, whom should I blame? Whom should I blame? Bhagavatam says many a times, when your own tongue is bitten by your two teeth, whom do you blame? Whom do you curse, the tongue or the teeth? So at times, we don't know whom to blame, where to complain also. Therefore, he simply turned to God to find the deeper purpose. He also left the kingdom to be then managed by the other ministers and so on. And he understood that God has some deeper purpose in this, what has happened in my life. And he found that deeper purpose. So Srimad Bhagavatam is repeatedly filled with so many stories, which is where the turn of events would be just the opposite of what we would be expecting or what anyone would have expected. But then without blaming anyone, without complaining, uh, go deeper, look for the answers, that the Lord has some purpose behind any situation that has been created in my life. There is a deeper purpose, and if we can connect to the deeper purpose, we will find that inner peace. Because the nature of this world is there will be always some chaos or the other. The waves, the rough waves, even when the sea is very rough, are always on the surface. Deep within, the sea is very calm. So the chaos is when we are only trying to deal at the surface level, trying to rectify. Although we have to do whatever needs to be done, any chaos we need to address it. We need to address it. But if we just remain on the surface, then we'll be always be in chaos. While we address it, while we try to do our best to rectify that chaos, simultaneously we look for the deeper purpose. We turn towards God within our heart, and we will find that inner peace, much deeper purpose. Rather, we'll be able to connect to a much deeper joy within the heart, the joy within the chaos, not just the peace. We can experience great ecstasy of the heart, even amidst the chaos of this world. And that's the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, that's the wisdom of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. So thank you. I will now request His Grace Radhagopinath Prabhu to please speak. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One time, a person asked me a question about peace. How do I kind of find peace, that a level of peace that would not be affected by the dualities of this world? I was in 41 degrees and suddenly I landed in 14 degrees. Just turn, duality. Peak of summer to peak of almost like beginning of winter in New Zealand. So, hot and cold, honor and dishonor, happiness and distress, victory and defeat. These are the dualities. Inevitable, invariable. So, I was thinking that there are 3 levels of peace, going deeper. The first level is relax, take a deep breath. And actually feel peaceful, at least till that time. As long as you're breathing and you are in seclusion. So that's the first level. Somehow just, as I say, if you're angry, count till 10 at least. Hopefully it'll change your mind as to how you're going to respond. The second is described in the Bhagavad Gita with a beautiful analogy. In the second chapter of Gita, something similar what Damodar Prabhu said. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudram apaha pravishanti yadvat tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve sa shantim apnoti na kamakam. Said, as a completely filled ocean, in the rainy seasons, lot of rivers come and flow into the ocean. But the ocean doesn't overflow. In the summer, they become like small streams and eventually dry up. But the ocean is not affected, doesn't dry up. Similarly, so many desires within our mind. Amazing. The nature of the mind is, it's a nice study if one can understand the nature of the mind. Even a powerful warrior, extremely qualified, cultured, highly evolved individual like Arjun, 5,000 years ago, expressed his absolute helplessness and inability to control his mind. And he uses four adjectives. He says, Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, pramathi balavat dridham. Chala means moving. Chanchala means quickly moving. You are here physically. I don't know where your mind is. Hopefully, it is here. And if I speak a little more, I guarantee you it won't be here. It's already gone somewhere. Probably it can go to India and come back, or it can go to the moon. Chamchala, it is so quick. And pramathi, you are matha. Matha is, churning. And pramatha is powerfully churning. Just like any of the senses, you're just looking at something. You look at some dhoti of some devotee and he says, and I may be talking here, but I'm thinking, I had put mine on the heater for drying up. I hope it is dried up. Tomorrow it has to dry up before 4:30 for me to come to the Mangalarti. It's already gone there. So one, I saw something, the eyes saw something, the mind churns out this and this and that. You heard a sound. Has this person come? No, it doesn't sound like that. The way he walks is not like this. Maybe something else. Hundreds of thoughts. You touch something. Is it a worm? Is it a flower? Is it what? Whatever it is, something soft, something cold. So, the mind can churn out, pramathi, churn out so many ideas. Even ideas that wasn't there. You keep on churning the milk, butter comes out, which is not there in the milk. It has to be, eventually comes out. And balavat. Balavat means it's extremely powerful. You can't hold it. It holds you. And dridham. It is extremely stubborn. Now, I have seen sometimes, I don't know here, but in India, we live in very close to a place called Chowpatty Beach, where they sell all kinds of special, savory items, bhel puri and whatever. And kids want it, and if they don't, I have seen children rolling in the mud and kicking their hands and legs. And, I need it. So no, not today, tomorrow, no, next month. Oh, I need it now. And okay, Papa, have it. Stubborn, really, like. So that's the nature of the mind. It can, as Milton says, Paradise Lost. A mind is a thing of itself. It can make hell of heaven and heaven of hell. You can be in the most convenient place and comfortable place and be miserable. Mind will desperately look for something to make you miserable. I was traveling by train and it was all nice, but except one little window had come up and you couldn't put it down, Again, it will come up. However you pull it, and there was a cold breeze coming. I was covered, but still, mind was telling, no, it has to be closed. Otherwise, how can I sleep without it? Later it may become, and I tried to close. And that 2 hours went by. Then I decided, let the window be whatever it is. I know it's peaceful after that. So mind is like that. So, it keeps on churning out so many ideas, so many wants. Needs are legitimate. Wants are endless. That's the nature of the mind. And therefore it says, as the ocean, one understands not to fall for the desires of the mind, one who controls them, such a person can be peaceful. But still, even to become desireless is a desire. And so there is a third level of peace that is described in the Gita in the 5th chapter. Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwar. 3 qualities are given. That the Supreme Lord is the ultimate enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and the ultimate well-wisher of every living entity. This conviction can help us go deeper, as he was mentioning, that to the extent we try to be the enjoyer rather than cooperating with the Lord's enjoyment, we try to be the controller and proprietor because we aren't, many things are beyond us. To the extent we think that we can be the well-wisher of people, we will not be peaceful because that's not the reality. But when we align ourselves with the will of the Lord, then it becomes much, much peaceful. I will share with you one experience that I had. I was in a satellite center in India, and our ashram where we stay is about 5 minutes away from the temple. And the Mangalarti there is at 4:30. And I was supposed to go and sing. And somehow that day, the alarm didn't go off. Now, just when you need it the most, somehow it doesn't go off. I don't know, whatever. And I got up and it was exactly 15 minutes left. And I have to shower up, I have to dress up, and I have to run that 5-minute walk. And probably I can go into the Guinness Book of World Records for having prepared myself, getting ready, brushing, bathing, and everything, and then reaching on time. So I had to go out of that. There's a balcony there, and there's a huge wash basin, and there's a tree there, and there's wash basin, and I put the full on. I was about to start the tap, and I already was brushing, and I suddenly saw in the wash basin, huge, and it was really clean. And there was an insect, probably it had fallen inside overnight, and almost on the last stage of his life. And therefore it was trying to climb the wash basin. It was like a stadium for him, probably. The wash basin was really huge. So he was trying to climb and slip and climb and slip. And I was getting late and I had to turn the top, and then I tap, and I saw that if I turn it on full blast, he may go down the drain. And early morning, before doing worship of the Lord, I didn't want to commit this kind of a act. So at the same time, it was getting late, and I couldn't. I don't know why, but and it was a very hairy insect. And I'm little kind of allergic to picking up this hairy insect. So, and I was thinking, what should I do now? And time was running out. So I saw this, a leaf had fallen from the tree. So I took a leaf, and that he was trying to climb, he or she, I don't know, he's trying to climb. And I placed the leaf like this. And he turned like that. I place it like that. He turned like this. Wherever I turned, I got irritated, so I got 2 leaves and 2 different directions. He turned the 3rd direction. I don't have 4 hands like Vishnu. But I'm a smart guy, so I got 4 leaves and put it like this, and slowly brought it closer and put it. He had to climb one of the leaves. He was going round and round, but he wouldn't. Ultimately, I said, this is too much. I pushed him through the other 2 leaves and on the leaf and just put it down, and quickly I brushed, and I was running. But as I was going, I was thinking, this is my life. I am like that insect, desperately trying to escape from this chaotic situation in the world, trying to resolve my own solutions. And the Lord is arranging something in my life, but I am trying to escape it, thinking that I'm smart and I exactly know how to figure out what to do about it. That's true. We need to do that. We need to think about. At the same time, to also see, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, very beautiful point, 5 causes for any activity to be successful in this world. For any activity to be successful, there are 5 causes. First is a place of work. I need to cook something. I need a kitchen, place. Number 2, a cook. Somebody has to cook it. So, a doer, a place, the doer. Third is some instruments you need. Karanam. And then the effort. A place, a doer, instruments, and the effort. These are in our hands. But the sanctioning, Daivam Chaivatra Panchamam, is not in our hands. And knowing these two, the balance between these two, if we are successful, it never goes into our head. Because we know it has been sanctioned by the Lord. Many probably would be doing much more effort than I have done. But how I have been successful and why someone else is not. And if you are a failure, you won't be disappointed, you won't go into depression, knowing that, all right, I did my effort. All right. Our enthusiasm doesn't go away in spite of repeated failures, probably. So, these kind of qualities, as another beautiful verse describes who is a wise person. Titikshava means very patient. Karunika, very merciful. Shantaha, he's also very peaceful. One time, a person asked me, he said, Prabhuji, I have a question. I said, yes. A lot of devotees say that if you just take up the process of bhakti, all wonderful qualities will develop. But then you say you develop qualities of humility, develop quality of patience, develop quality of becoming more regulated, this and that. Which should we do first? I would like to ask anyone here, if you were asked, what would you suggest? Should we do devotion first? Because the nature of the soul being part of God, all the wonderful qualities are already there. It needs to be uncovered. That's why it's called self-realization. You just need to realize. It's not a software to be installed. It's there. It needs to be. But some people say, no, you have to develop the qualities. So the question was, which one should we do first? Should we do bhakti first or should we develop qualities first? How many say bhakti? Please raise your hand. Okay, and qualities will manifest? How many say qualities first and then bhakti will come? Thank you. I was also in the same kind of a situation. And they had put me such a nice garland. So I took off the garland and I showed them, to make this garland, what is important, the flowers or the thread? That's being very diplomatic. It's a fact. If you want a garland of wonderful qualities, we try to collect the flowers first. But then, to make it into a garland, you need to hold those flowers through the thread. And that thread is when that quality is engaged in the service of the Lord. So, yes, we need to develop qualities. If someone says only thread, the next time we will, in place of garland, we'll put the thread on. Be satisfied. No. And we can't put flowers, you just don't. So, taking those qualities and holding it, sutre manigana iva, like a beautiful necklace of pearls is made, but holding the thing that is holding it, and all these wonderful qualities are like various colorful flowers. But that which is holding them into a beautiful garland is the devotion. So yeah, coming to and spiritual life is basically about these dormant qualities to be brought out. I was one very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Her Grace Rukmini Mataji, Rukmini Devi. She had come to our temple and she and her husband were sitting and they were singing Radha Madhav just before, And I was looking at her. She must have been in the early 60s at that time. This is about 15 years back. And I was thinking, wow, she looks so beautiful. And then I said, I'm supposed to be a brahmachari. Why am I looking at a woman and thinking she's beautiful? But the other mind told me, no, she is beautiful, isn't it? Somehow, when in my childhood I had this. When I would see a young child, I would imagine, how will this person look when they grow old? And when I would see an old person, I would see how this person would have been when they were a child. Probably that's why I came to spirituality, that before I assume that form, let me do something. So I was thinking, wow, how beautiful she must be. And then I said, no, this is not the right thought. Sitting in the temple about to listen to a spiritual talk, I put my eyes down. I started singing. And she was explaining the first time she met Prabhupada and her experience of her initiation. And she said, when she was initiated, this was in 1966 or 67. So she came, offered her respects to Prabhupada, extended her hand to receive initiation. And it seems Prabhupada looked at her and he said, oh, you are so beautiful. I felt so nice. I said, I am in parampara. I said, wow, they're good. So I wasn't wrong after all. Even Prabhupada, a great Mahabhagavat, appreciated. But then she told something. He gave the beads. He gave her the name Rukmini Devi. Rukmini was extremely beautiful. Shishupal fell down his chariot just by looking at her. She was so beautiful. And then she said, after making this statement, Prabhupada spoke a sentence that became a mission of my life. So he said, oh, you are so beautiful, gave her the name. And after giving the beads and giving the name, he said, now I want you to become beautiful from within. And she said, I've been meditating on this statement for last 52 years. What did Prabhupada say? He gave me a life's mission to become beautiful from within. And I was thinking, in my earlier days, when I had taken Sanskrit as a language, we were taught some shlokas. And the shloka said, what is beauty? Ornament. When you are ornamented, you become very beautiful. Narasya abharanam rupam, rupasya abharanam gunaha, gunasya abharanam jnanam, jnanasya abharanam kshama. He said, narasya means of human being, abharanam, what is the ornament of a human being which makes that human being very beautiful? Rupam, facial features. If the facial feature is very good, people feel like looking, who? I don't know, maybe third time before that person leaves. So Rupam is the one thing that's very attractive. But then it says Rupasya abharanam gunaha. Somebody may be extremely beautiful physically, but if that person doesn't have attractive qualities, it is described in Ayodhya, Kaikeyi was the most beautiful lady. Till Sita was, Ram was married. Sita, Kaikeyi was extremely beautiful. Therefore, Dasharath was always with her. But the day she associated with Manthara, and she became extremely selfish and hard-hearted and sent Ram into the forest, it is said that nobody in that city ever wanted to look at Kaikeyi. And they looked at her and says, today our day is spoiled. We have to go and take bath in the river. It doesn't mention that she became ugly. She was the same, but nobody wanted to see because she had become so hard-hearted, so absorbed in her own interest. So Rupasya abharanam gunaha. And then it says Gunasya abharanam jnanam. Those qualities have to be founded on solid knowledge as to when to use. Like Arjun, compassion is a great quality. But when Arjun showed compassion for his enemies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna chastised him. He said, nonsense, this is not the place to show compassion. Real compassion is to destroy this whole people who are standing on the side of adharma and to establish rule of dharma. That's real compassion on them. So it's not about the quality, but when is it demonstrated? Steadiness of that quality comes when it is based on solid knowledge. And then it says, Jnanasya abharanam kshama. And the beauty or the ornament of that knowledge is devotion. We see in the life of one great king, Maharaj Ambarish, a great sage, Durvasa, who actually wanted to destroy him for no reason, practically no fault of his. He's just wanting to, forgive him and, it's all right because he saw the will of the Lord behind everything. It's very easy to speak, very difficult to follow, but it's a lifetime project. So yes, we need to do this. Make a garland. Make little effort to collect some flowers, and through the process of devotion, which is the natural constitutional position of the soul, make a beautiful garland of these wonderful flowers. And through that devotion, all these qualities which are already there inherent become steady and really sustained in the long run and truly exhibit in its proper sense. I'll just conclude with just one example of violence. Is violence good or bad? It's like a knife. A knife is good or bad. In the hands of a surgeon, it can make a life. In the hands of a hoodlum, it can take a life. In and of itself, the knife is neither good nor bad. Similar qualities. Violence is sometimes necessary. So that knowledge, when to use it. And when that knowledge is founded on devotion to the Supreme Lord, that is very, very steady. That is eternally our ornament. And that makes a person very attractive in the eyes of the world. Who doesn't want to become attractive? We all want to. But this is the real, sustainable attraction, eternal attraction that can ever attract. And the Lord is attracted to devotion. Sri Krishna Karshani Chasa. Devotion is so powerful. Can you imagine a 5-year-old boy attracted the Lord to burst the pillar and come out? We call, nothing happens. The Lord stands like pillar. Why? Because we don't have devotion. We don't even believe He exists. In case, my God, if you are there, please come. Okay. If you have devotion, then I'll come. But then actually when such devotion, which is, it is said the heart of a person is the right hand. If you put your finger inside, thumb inside and put a fist, this is the size of the heart. If you want to know how big is your heart, make a fist with your thumbs in. This is the size of my heart. And if Prahlad was 5-year-old, how old is a 5-year-old's fist? But the devotion inside was so powerful, so attractive, that the Lord from the spiritual realm came, and to prove the devotee's word right, He came. That's how the supreme attractive Lord is attracted to devotional service, devotion. And if that is there, any chaotic situation of this world, in the dualities, not that we won't get disturbed. It's foolish to think that we won't get disturbed. We may get disturbed, but we will not be disturbed from the path of trying to serve and please Krishna. We may slightly be disturbed for some time, but it will not affect our path so disturbed that we actually divert and be distracted from the path. So that's what Srila Prabhupada's mercy is to us. That otherwise, a person who, it's like an instrument, third-class instrument, but the player is so good that he can play wonderful music through that. So that's our good fortune. And that's what, this whole mission is trying to offer to people. Very simple, just devotional service to the Lord, beginning with hearing and chanting His glories. Thank you very much. Thank you for demonstrating peace in these chaotic talks. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Do we have time for questions?
Yeah.
Thanks for the wonderful talk, Prabhuji. It is enlightening, but two words and analogies stood to me, and please correct me. The words which stood out was ego and the doership. And the analogy which came out from this talk was rose flower. It is a rose and it has the thorns. So to me, the analogy was that because of my ego, all the reactions because of my ego. If I accept the rose, a thorn is to be there, but I don't go to the thorn. I live with peace. And Prabhuji, if my analogy was right there, was that bhakti or jnana, because it is again the doership. When I take out the doership, the karma has got to be done. So that brings peace to the situation, or that's my understanding, or with this enlightening knowledge, that's what it reinforced these few words or concepts in my head. Please elaborate. Correct me.
Ego in and of itself is not bad. Without ego, we don't exist. Ego gives us an identity. But what is not favorable is false ego. What is the real ego? The real ego is, I'm not the body, I'm the soul, eternal part and parcel of the Lord. But false ego is, I am this, I am that, connected to the body, the designation. So, uh, a very beautiful, very famous verse in the Gita, which practically anyone who begins Bhagavad Gita, they sometimes learn this verse first. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan. Right? So we have a right to perform the duty, but when the expectation is there, that becomes the main issue. And when the expectation is not fulfilled, then you become disturbed. Because I failed. That I-ness, I failed. So that's why these 5 causes of work. There is a doer, there's a place, there's an instrument, there is an effort. This is in our hands. But the sanction is also, it is approved also, And therefore, when both are not considered, if you are successful, we become proud. And if you fail, we become depressed. But when we do it, it is my responsibility, it's my duty. In that conception, whether there is reciprocation is there or not, that's not up to me. My responsibility is to do it, to execute the task. If that is given up, if the ego is given up, then the inspiration or the impetus to work is gone. No, we have to do it. I need to do it. But the expectation of the result is what we are detached from. When we become attached, we become disturbed. When we become detached, we become irresponsible. If you are detached, we become irresponsible. So we are attached to executing our responsibilities, but detached from the expectation thereof. If that's there, then we'll be peaceful in continuing to execute, even if there is no success, but we do our part. We do our best, then leave the rest. Sometimes much more than what you expect comes, and sometimes nothing happens. But still, you go on. You go on. Srila Prabhupada, for several years he was trying, not one person became a devotee. That was one test. And from 1965 to 77, 12 years, it's like wherever you touch, it turns into gold. He was traveling everywhere, and so many people, he became a world acharya. But his life remained the same. His activity remained the same. His effort remained the same. He was detached. He started a place, a league of devotees, and put 2-3 years of hard work. One night he was just thrown away from that place. But his enthusiasm wouldn't go. Nothing could stop his enthusiasm because he was attached to serving. Ram. Interesting. There's a beautiful bhajan we sing. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram kahiye. Jahire vidhi rakhe Ram, tahire vidhi rahi. जिंदगी के डोर सौंप हाथ दीनानाथ के महलों में रखे चाहे झोपड़ी में वास दे धन्यवाद निर्विवाद राम रस पीजिए जाहिर विधि राखे राम ताहिर विधि रही. However he keeps you, we just let us take Lord Ram. Imagine he's supposed to become the king next day, to be and then suddenly middle of the night, 2:30 a.m. call comes. You're being called, your father is calling, and he comes, knocks on the door, and suddenly he sees that Kop Bhavan, an anger chamber of Kaikeyi. And he looks, and the father isn't able to look at Ram. He's just like that, and he says, "What's wrong?" So Kaikeyi says, "No, he doesn't want to say. He's a little feeling shy. I'll tell you. Just 2 things, not a big deal. Bharat becomes a king." Can you imagine? Emperor of the whole planet. He says, Bharat becomes a king. Anything else? Ram, without batting an eyelid, says, anything else? He said, oh, yeah. And 14 years you should go to the forest. Anything else? She says nothing else. She's shocked. How could Ram do this? Because he was attached to pleasing his father. If it pleases you, I'll sit on the throne. If it pleases you, I'll go to the forest. I'm neither attached to the throne nor to the forest. I'm attached to pleasing you. My dear father, if you want me to do that, I'll do this. That's it. So, when we are attached to executing our responsibility, success, glorious. Failure, repeat. Go along. If this attitude is there, then things can go on without any disturbance. Yes. This question Damodar will answer. Damodar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
IIT, he went to IITT, Indian Institute of Technology, to International Institute of Transcendental Technology.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, your aura is so inspirational, so beautiful that I don't know what question to ask you. But the question is for you, sir. Sorry, Prabhuji. In one of the shlokas, you said, Gyanasya Abhimanne Shama. Did I hear it right?
Jnanasya Bharanam.
Abharanam Shama. The word Shama tells us it's a forgiveness, but you're referring it to the devotion. So I just need clarification of that.
Yeah, I see there are different levels of looking at this. One level is just forgiveness. As we discussed about the peace, has 3 levels. Kshama has also 3 levels. You know, one is grit your teeth and I'm supposed to forgive. Forgive him. Forgive him, okay? But touch the wrong nerve and I have forgiven you. Don't come in front of my eyes again. Huh? I have forgiven. It's not easy. Ambarish Maharaj had practically done no offense. Durvasa, a powerful sage, a great mystic yogi, had come to his house along with his thousands of disciples. And at a time when Ambarish, after 40 days of actually fasting, a year of fasting, was about to, it was time to break the fast. Not simply to eat, but because for the welfare of the whole kingdom he had done this. And Ambarish and Durvas Muni says that I'll just go take bath and come. And while taking bath, he knew that the time is running out for him to break the fast, for Ambarish. And Ambarish, a householder, a king, he was in a dilemma. So he asked his ministers, what do you think I should do? They said, no, if you take a drop of water, it's like breaking the fast and still not breaking the fast. So you can do that. He took a drop of water. Durvas Muni was such a mystic yogi. In the river, while about, taking bath and in samadhi, he could judge this fellow has drunk water. He had such mystic power. He came and he said, how dare you? This is the way you welcome a sannyasi and a yogi. He pulled out a hair, he chanted a mantra and threw it on the ground. It created a huge demon which could devour the whole earth planet. And that demon was attacking Ambarish to destroy him, kill him. And Ambarish just praying to the Lord, my Lord, if you want to protect me, who can harm me? And if you want to harm me, who can protect me? He didn't even move from his place. He just, thy will be done. The Lord Sudarshan Chakra killed the demon and went behind Durvas. And Durvas, he was such a mystic in power, he could travel anywhere. But unfortunately, the chakra was also following him. For 1 year, he went to Lord Brahma, he went to Lord Shiva, he went to ultimately Vishnu. He said, even Vishnu said, this chakra is beyond my control. Because close to My devotee 24-hour thinks of me and I think about them. I know no one but them, they know no one but me. I have no control over this wheel now. The only person who can save you is Ambarish. You have to beg forgiveness from him. Durvasa came all the way back from Vaikuntha and fell at the feet of Ambarish. And you know what Ambarish says? He never took the offense in the first place. He was begging forgiveness from Durvas Muni for making him wait for a year traveling around everywhere, and you haven't eaten anything. He's not concerned about himself. He's thinking, you're not eaten anything and I made you, run around everywhere. I am responsible for that. Please, you eat something. He never took the offense, what to speak of forgiving. So, from the core, that forgiveness comes when you see that there is, again, the larger picture, the bigger picture, the deeper understanding. You simply become an instrument of the Lord's will and compassion. It's, of course, easy to speak, but that kshama of forgiveness, when coming from the heart of pure devotion, can never take offense. Otherwise, it's not easy to forgive someone. You may somehow control yourself, restrain yourself, but it's not easy to kind of completely let go. You see? That's the point being discussed here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for such wonderful questions and answers. It was a very inspiring class. We also have weekly programs here at 4 o'clock on every Saturday. Say some of you are here new for the first time and want to join those programs, please either contact me or Divya Govind Prabhu and we can enroll you for that program. Thank you very much. Let us give a big round of applause for Prabhuji's for a wonderful talk. Hare Krishna.